We're running on the Ethereum blockchain, and we use DAI for the currency, so MakerDAO is involved, and we're also using RDAI, which is a adaptation of DAI that allows tokens to earn interest because they are plugged into Compound, and Compound is a decentralized lending platform where people can take out collateralized loans using cryptocurrency trustlessly.
Oh, wow.
So when you make a purchase on Idea Market, the money that you spend to get a token representing your purchase is deposited and held into a Compound smart contract.
Oh, okay.
So that people can take out loans against it, and that money that you just spent in Idea Market earns interest.
Oh, wow.
And Idea Market then distributes that interest on your money disproportionately to market winners.
Wow. Okay, so again, incentives on every layer.
Yes.
Every layer.
Yes. It's the purpose of that is so that top publications have an incentive case for the long term.
Right.
If something's at the top, it's not necessarily just going to go down. There's a reason that something might persist over time, and if it does, it will benefit from the interest on deposits made by everybody else. So there's a possibility for blue chips to emerge. It's not necessarily going to be a constant cycle.
Right, right. And then the increased trust leads to increased visibility and credibility backed by public risk, not by corporations. Like that's the big kicker. And then also what's interesting about Ethereum is what you wrote here, and I didn't even think about this, but publications are impossible to remove from the list.
Yes.
And so I guess maybe this is a good time to then quickly talk about centralization versus decentralization.
Sure.
Because that's basically the rub, if you will.
Sure. So a centralized entity is one that has a specific set of servers and a specific set of buildings, or relies on a specific company, which can be shut down. If the government says, New York Times, we don't like you anymore, shut off your servers in Amazon or whatever, they can do that. There's a vulnerability here, a single point of failure.
Yes.
And most institutions and organizations are centralized in some way. It's just the way it's had to be up until recently. Mm-hmm. So the way a decentralized network works, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, on which Idea Market runs, is instead of having centralized servers that somebody can shut down, the network runs simultaneously on thousands or millions of independently owned computers around the world. And those belong to people who live in different countries, different companies, different governments that have different interests, and are not going to, come all under your thumb. If China says no more cryptocurrency, Switzerland might say, you know what, I like it. Right. We're going to keep it. So there's no governmental decree by which you can shut down a decentralized network. If you've read all the Harry Potter books, I'm going to spoil the end now.
Okay.
Where Voldemort
yes.
He maintains his life force. He stays alive by putting his soul into Horcruxes, into different objects, and spreading them across the ends of the earth. And as long as one of those is fine, he's fine, basically. Yeah. Ethereum and Bitcoin and other decentralized networks basically work like that. Right. It's basically a Horcrux system that in order to take it down, you have to take them all down. And there are a lot, and they belong to a lot of different people.
In many different countries, many different creeds, many different ways of thinking.
Yes. Whereas one country might see it as a threat, another might see it as an opportunity. Sure. So even though one country might want you to stop, another country is going to want you to continue.
Hey, come on. Yeah.
Yes. So there's not going to be a single point of failure that some government can just say, you know what, enough of you.
Right. And when you mention public narratives being decided by private interests is basically what we're kind of going up against.
Yeah.
When we seek narratives, we naturally seek authority. That's something that you had also wrote. And then when seeking investments, we naturally seek value. So therefore, the best way to choose public narratives is with investment. It's almost that like skin in the game tactic or
100%,
heuristic.
100%. I haven't read Skin in the Game, but I'm very much inspired by quotes from it.
Yeah, I'll send you that blog post as well.
Thank you. Yes. No, it's a Taleb book. So
Taleb's great. I love it.
Yeah, in terms of seeking authority naturally.
Yeah.
the way society has been organized until now, especially in the last 100 or so years, is if the New York Times says it, I can't be blamed for believing it because the New York Times says it.
Right.
So when we seek authority, it's not because we're weak sheep. It's because we want to be able to talk to someone at work.
Starting
it's because
point.
it's a basic functioning
Yes.
fabric of society.
Yeah, sure.
It is not a bug, but a feature that we naturally seek authority. We want to hold everything together and be able to function and communicate with our fellow man. So that has been a large part of the power that media corporations have had in playing that necessary role of mediating between the world and the consumer. It's also created a medium for the consumer to relate to each other.
Yes.
If you believe, bob.wordpress.com more than you believe the New York Times, if that was a thing in 1975, you'd be a crackpot, and a lot of people still are. I'm a proud one. So, yes, there's a function to seeking authority, and it's a sort of social cohesion. And the problem, though, is that the social cohesion is being manufactured by corporations.
Right. And then so there's one thing, before we kind of go into where it's moving, I guess, let's talk about one, I guess, aspect of critique, which I thought was great that you yourself were kind of pushing it out, is that when we seek authority, we don't just want to, rob Peter to pay Paul and put our authority in something else that's not. And so like markets in general, have not been very good at, say climate change, externalities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what you said was on one of your tweets was, I think, great, because idea markets can be implemented with abusive motives. So it seems extremely important to require certain criteria to protect against this list. What should they be? And you had some ideas: uncensorable, transparent, audible, simple, and then someone else threw in decentralized and properly incentivized, which we've kind of covered.
Sure.
So maybe let's talk about, I guess, the not exactly negative connotations, but just in case, like what that could mean at first, because I guess you got to build this credibility, right? And markets maybe not be the most efficient way, or let's just riff on that.
Sure. I'd like to roll it back a little bit before getting into that.
Yeah, sure.
And that is to say, I mentioned tying credibility to visibility in idea markets.
Sure.
It's not just another Reddit, another front page of the internet.
Good point. Yes.
Where people are going to go and be entertained or whatever. It's actually the back end of a new way of monitoring and filtering the information economy, the attention economy. And the first way it's going to do that is by eliminating fake news, corporate and otherwise.
Yeah.
And the way it's going to do that is with a browser extension.
Yep.
That a user has the ability to set the filter level on. So when you look at Idea Market and you see the top 10 are these publications, you can have a browser extension that says, only show me stuff from these top 10.
Yeah.
Or actually the first version that we're going to release is simply going to insert the Idea Market rank or market capitalization next to every link that you see. So whether you're on Facebook, you see WikiLeaks, and you see WikiLeaks is number 2 or something like that.
Sure.
And you can have a reference point for how much the public trusts the publisher whose link you're being invited to read.
Right.
And so by extension, fake news becomes extremely expensive.
Okay, these are the graphs that I saw on your web. Okay. So
Yes.
maybe briefly kind of show how, as over time, the ROI on the fake news goes down, right? And then the public trust goes up eventually.
Yes. As the market winners of Idea Market have larger capitalizations, they raise the threshold of credibility as measured in risk.
For everyone involved.
For everyone.
Yes.
If the 100th publication has $1 million market cap, then in order to be even remotely credible, you have to spend $1 million. Or you have to earn trust so that people invest $1 million and expect you to be attention worthy.
Right.